Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. So the New Orleans Saints have been hard at work getting within salary cap compliance. And yesterday, the surprise was that they used the franchise tag on Marcus Williams because that added $10.5 million to the salary cap pile. And they're trying to shrink that pile. Well, today, they made several moves that did, in fact, shrink that number even more. Andrus Peat and Malcolm Jenkins have restructured their contracts, and the Saints made two moves that were certainly expected. Kwon Alexander and Emmanuel Sanders have both been released. We knew Kwon Alexander was going to be released because that saved the Saints north of $13 million for a linebacker that's coming off an Achilles injury. It's not to say Kwon might not be back with the Saints next year. He was just not going to be back at that number. So they release him. He's a free agent. Maybe they go try to sign him at a more team-friendly deal, but we knew Kwon wasn't going to be back. The one that's going to sting for some is Emmanuel Sanders. And the Saints have not formally made this announcement as of right now, but it's out there, and Sanders confirmed it on his Instagram. He posted a picture of himself in his Saints uniform with the caption, "New Orleans, it's been real. Sucks we didn't bring a Super Bowl to the city, which was the goal when I signed, but it was a blessing to showcase my talents in front of you guys week in and week out. Hashtag blessings on blessings. I'm a free agent. Where to next?" So Emmanuel Sanders certainly appears as though he is not done playing, but it looks like it certainly won't be in New Orleans. At least it won't be in New Orleans at that price. The move does save the Saints, as we mentioned, some $4 million against this year's salary cap. So remember, when it comes to restructuring contracts, it gives you short-term relief, but it ties you to the player longer term. So this year, Andrus Peat's cap hit drops all the way to $5.5 million, but in future years, his cap hit escalates exponentially. Next year, the cap hits $15.4 million, and then the following 2 years, it's $16.4 each of the following 2 years. So the Saints, now they do have a potential out in 2023, which we'll talk about later, but the Saints are here tied now to Andrus Peat and Malcolm Jenkins as well. I hope, by the way, that they find a way to get Kwon Alexander back in New Orleans. He was a very natural fit next to Demario Davis. Provided the Achilles heals and he's healthy, he is just a better version of Alex Anzalone. He's more athletic. He was better in pass coverage, more consistent, could play in the box. It just worked defensively with Davis and Alexander right next to each other. So I hope they find a way to get Kwon back. Emmanuel Sanders, though, is the really interesting one. And in part because it's really the biggest name here, and it's the spot with the most uncertainty moving forward. Michael Thomas is coming off of a year where he missed the majority of the season. And after Michael Thomas, without Emmanuel Sanders, you're talking about a long list of guys who haven't done much in their pro careers. Tre'Quan Smith is the most proven receiver remaining on your roster. But am I crazy for really not worrying about Saints wide receivers? Do you remember when Tony Kornheiser was doing Monday Night Football and he made some crack during a game about Sean Payton, finding wide receivers, pulling guys off of Bourbon Street to play wide receiver? Do you remember that? And people took it all out, people took it as this slight when in actuality it was a compliment to Payton to say, man, he can go get almost anybody and make it work in this offense. Do you know what the list is of players that have been the leading receiver for the New Orleans Saints under Sean Payton? I'm going to read it to you. These are guys that have led the Saints in receiving yards under Sean Payton. Marcus Colston, 7th round pick. Michael Thomas, second-round pick. Jimmy Graham, third-round pick, tight end. Brandon Cooks, first-round pick. Lance Moore was an undrafted free agent. Willie Snead was an undrafted free agent. Alvin Kamara, he's a running back, third round. And Benjamin Watson. Later in his career, it was 2015, the year he led the Saints in receiving. Only Brandon, of that whole list, that's the list of players that have led the Saints in receiving under Sean Payton. Only Brandon Cooks was a first-round pick, and Michael Thomas was a second-round pick. Two of the players are tight ends. One of the players is a running back, and the other two were undrafted free agents. Forgive me for not freaking out here. I just trust Sean Payton. And maybe I'm missing the key variable, which is he's always had Drew Brees. So maybe no Drew Brees means, you better have a dude that can get open, that can get more separation, that can blow the top off. Maybe. But I trust Sean Payton, and I love this group of wide receivers. I'm anticipating Michael Thomas to be healthy. Last year was an outlier. Beyond that, Sean Payton's been bullish on Deontay Harris as a wide receiver. And they finally gave him a shot in the playoff game against the Bears. Dude caught all 7 of his targets for 83 yards. He looked like an NFL wide receiver. Okay, let me see more of that. I've been telling you for more than a year now that I love Marquez Callaway. Watched him at Tennessee. Dude could ball. Great at punt and kick return. Blow the top off the defense. He is a game breaker, which the Saints haven't really had since Devery Henderson, Brandon Cooks. I know they had Ted Ginn for a hot minute, but even Ginn wasn't Ginn what he was early in his career. We got to see stuff from Lil Jordan Humphrey and Juwan Johnson, guys who are really good college receivers who I think can become guys in this offense that Sean Payton's utilized over the years, like a Marcus Colston, bigger receiver in the slot. I like those guys. The real interesting question for the Saints are going to be, do you now go receiver at 28? And there might be guys on the board. Terrace Marshall could be on the board for the Saints at 28. Do you go receiver? If they do, I'd be cool with it. But I think one other thing that's pretty clear here is, right, you've got Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams. You're not going safety. You need a corner opposite Marshawn Lattimore because Janoris Jenkins likely isn't going to be back. You could very well need a linebacker next to Mario Davis. Depending on what happens with Sheldon Rankins, you could need a defensive tackle. It's likely Hendrickson isn't going to be back. And I think you bet on the combination of Davenport Granderson opposite Cam Jordan, so you should be good there. And I like all these wide receivers that you have. I guess whatever direction the Saints go at 28 in the draft, there's literally a handful of positions where they could take the best player available at that position, and I'd be okay with it. Receiver's one of them, but I think even if they don't draft a receiver in round 1, they're going to be fine. Sean Payton just has a long enough track record of showing, give me the group, I'll make it work. Give me Austin Carr. I'll make it work. All right. As more moves come, we'll certainly let you know. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.